Welcome back to the Criminal Motives Podcast. My name is Matthew Pfeiffer, and let's get a quick update since our last video. So since our last video, Jimmy Kimmel is back. At this point, it's like ABC, FCC, just make up your mind. We're going to talk about the R&B singer David with all the circumstantial evidence that's there. The decomposing body in his car. Him dating a 13-year-old as a 20-year-old man. Why has he not been arrested? We had the Charlie Kirk memorial over the weekend, but we have some serious conspiracy theories that we need to talk about in regards to his death. And why is everyone on TikTok worried about the rapture? We're going to talk about all of that on today's show, so make sure you hit the like, share, and the bell notification so you're notified each and every time I upload a new video. On this channel, we talk about true crime and trending topics in the news. And with all that being said, let's get started.
We begin tonight with the breaking news. Disney ABC late today saying Jimmy Kimmel will return tomorrow night. Disney says the decision comes after thoughtful conversations with Kimmel. Disney, the parent company of ABC, had suspended Kimmel's show indefinitely after his comments in the wake of the Charlie Kirk shooting and after pressure from President Trump's FCC chairman for some ABC stations not to carry Kimmel's show. The move igniting a nationwide debate about political pressure and about protecting free speech in this country. Tonight, Disney ABC saying it suspended the show for a time to, quote, avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. Kimmel returns tomorrow night, and ABC's Matt Gubman leading us off now from Los Angeles.
Tonight, Disney ABC announcing Jimmy Kimmel will return to the air tomorrow night after they paused the show indefinitely after comments he made about the ideology of the suspect in Charlie Kirk's killing. Tonight, Disney saying in a statement, last Wednesday we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. The temporary pause came after pressure from President Trump's FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, who blasted Kimmel's comments. Carr pressuring local ABC stations to stop airing Kimmel's late-night show, Jimmy Kimmel Live.
We can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Disney ABC then suspended Kimmel's show, quote, indefinitely from the entire network to allow for discussions with Kimmel and his team. What followed was a fierce debate over free speech in this country, critics suggesting the move was caving to political pressure and jeopardizing free speech. Even some Republicans and well-known conservatives speaking out against censorship and the importance of protecting free speech. Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz comparing Brendan Carr's comments to those of a mafia boss.
He says, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way.
Yeah.
And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming into a bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
President Trump even suggesting the late-night hosts on NBC should be next, and suggested outlets who repeatedly report critically on the president could lose their broadcast licenses.
They give me only bad publicity, press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr.
Those words from the president, who signed an executive order on day one pledging to protect free speech.
And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back.
Today at the White House, the press secretary was asked what message this all sends to Americans who might be afraid to express their own beliefs.
We have a right to free speech in this country. The president supports it. It is protected by our beautiful Constitution. And Americans should not cower in fear. They should rise up in courage to continue speaking the truth.
And David, in just about 24 hours, Jimmy Kimmel and his team will be back at that stage behind me to tape their show in what is very likely to be a highly anticipated return to late-night TV.
Okay, so at the time of this recording, Jimmy Kimmel is set to air tonight on Tuesday, September 23rd. However, there is a lot of uncertainty with some things. So if you tune into the Jimmy Kimmel show, if you're someone who watches it, or if you were going to watch it to kind of see what's going on, you may not have seen it. Because what people don't quite understand is that even though ABC is the parent channel of the Jimmy Kimmel show. And so we have Disney, who oversees ABC who oversees Jimmy Kimmel. However, when we talk about news stations, we also have to talk about their affiliates. And one of the main affiliates for the Jimmy Kimmel show is a company called Sinclair. And so Sinclair takes the Jimmy Kimmel show from these broadcast channels and sends it out to all of their affiliates. And so Sinclair has, at least at the time of this recording, has said that they refuse to send it out to their affiliates. And the reason for this is because of everything that's said in this report, that they are afraid of what the FCC is going to do to Sinclair if they were to show the show. However, ABC, which once again is under Disney, is also under pressure from the general public. So what the general public has done to back Jimmy Kimmel is that they started to speak with their wallets, right? So they canceled their Hulu accounts, they canceled their Disney Plus subscription, they canceled all their ESPN subscriptions in order to back Jimmy Kimmel. And so you have these two middle people, ABC and Sinclair, who are under a lot of pressure from on one side the FCC and on the other side from the general public to either show and air Jimmy Kimmel or to not show and completely cancel him and take him down for good. So there's a lot of confusion with this. And so even though he is technically back because ABC is allowing him to come back and they're going to continue to record and do everything they need to do on their end and show it on their channels, they'll probably show it on Hulu and things like that. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Sinclair. And if Sinclair does back down, we're not sure what's going to happen with the FCC. So this is far from over, very far from over. I anticipate that this is going to end up being some sort of lawsuit at some point in time to try to figure this out. Now, people who are on the side and are airing that they want to see Jimmy Kimmel canceled, they are saying that the reason why he's being canceled isn't because they don't like what he said about Charlie Kirk, but they're saying that it's because of the ratings of the show. However, on the other side, people are saying that this was never a concern. Right? People who are paying Jimmy Kimmel and paying his staff and things like that, they weren't concerned about the ratings. He's been on for 20 plus years. And pretty much everything on TV, the ratings are going down because people are going to social media, people are going to streaming services now. And so there's a lot of reason why people's ratings on TV are starting to dip over the last several years, definitely over the last decade, but over 15 plus years. And so they're also saying that that this is kind of like the covert operation that Republicans are doing to try to silence not only Jimmy Kimmel, but other late night hosts and other people who don't fall into their agenda. It can be kind of confusing when you're looking into it, when you talk about that, if you don't understand the whole Sinclair and ABC news affiliates and how all that stuff plays out. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Should Jimmy Kimmel be canceled? And if you think that he should be canceled, is this an infringement on free speech? Does this go against our First Amendment in terms of not only Jimmy Kimmel's free speech, but if so, and this is where people are concerned, that if this is an infringement on free speech, then what is stopping anyone from A, canceling other people, and B, stopping anyone like myself who does like podcasts and things like that, if they don't like what we do or what other people say, and canceling them from things that they do. One of the things that I love to tell people when it's someone that you hate, right? It's a lot of times people are all good with it, but we also have to be careful because sometimes when it's today it's someone that you hate, but tomorrow it could be someone that you love. And this is the reason why you see a lot of Republicans starting to split on this decision, right? So you saw that Ted Cruz came out and spoke on this because he is kind of understanding that, listen, if we do this right here, right now, even though I don't agree with the things that Jimmy Kimmel is saying, on the other hand, what's stopping them from doing this? A Democrat is in office or want someone that is against our policies is in office, them doing the exact same thing to like a Republican-backed speaker, right? And so there's a lot of people who feel very differently about this, even within each other's parties, right? Within the same similar parties. But let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. What do you think? Do you think that this is an infringement on free speech, number one? But also, do you think that Jimmy Kimmel and other people should be taken down in general? And whose decision should it be? Should it be based on some of these ratings and things like that? Should this be more of an ABC thing, or are you siding with Sinclair that they should have the right to be able to take down someone like Jimmy Kimmel or anyone else, for that matter, based on some of the dialogue that they have about Charlie Kirk in this situation, or anything else for that matter? Because once again, today it's Charlie Kirk, but tomorrow it's another issue, right? We live in a country, we are in a society where there's constantly something going on, right? And there's constantly people who are getting bent out of shape about something that happens, right? So again, someone that you hate today, but it could be someone that you love tomorrow. And what would you do if it were someone that you follow, that you support, and they were the ones that were being canceled because of something that the FCC or another government entity was doing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So let's move on to the R&B singer David. If you have followed me, or if you watched my last video, we talked about David. We gave an update on everything that's going on. If you're not familiar with the situation, we're about to watch a video to kind of get everyone up to speed. But David is an up and coming R&B singer who there was a body of a 15-year-old girl that was discovered that was not only decomposing, but she had been dismembered, and parts of her body were found in his car, decomposing. There's a lot that goes into that story, which I'll get into a little bit later to get you guys caught up. But let's watch this video, and then I'll come back and I'll give you my reaction.
In February of 2024, somebody commented on David's TikTok and said, quote, "Waiting for LAPD to get your ass for messing with a 13-year-old girl." Did that somebody know something about Celeste? I want to bring back our panel of true crime podcasters, Lauren Conlon, Pascal, and Shagun Oduoluwu. Okay, I'm going to start with you again, Lauren. Isn't it surprising that we're not hearing anything at all about the investigation into a possible sex crime, given there seems to be ample evidence just online that these two met a long time ago?
Yes, that was my first thought, because normally we see, police arresting their suspect on something else in order to hold them. And this has not been the case. But something I keep thinking about here is that police really do need tangible evidence that they were in a sexual relationship. I mean, you said it though, at this point, her mother has confirmed she had a boyfriend named David. Her brother confirmed it. We've seen a lot online, but I go back to this. I really do believe that police, law enforcement are sifting through all of his devices to confirm this. And something else, Ashley, that I've kind of been asking myself as well is how many people knew about this? How many people either looked the other way or were possibly complicit in their alleged relationship? Because, I mean, even the teacher, that video of her teacher saying that he knew that she was talking to the singer David, and also that video or a photo, of David appearing in a parking lot that's right by Celeste's home, right by her school. He appears to be talking with another student. And listen, the rumor mill is going wild about that photo, because now there are allegations that people did know, but they were being paid off. And those are completely unfounded, but I just wanted to point out what was going on in the rumor mill. So yeah, I have a lot of questions about why there hasn't been an arrest yet on, the fact that he could have been committing statutory work.
I will also say this. A teacher is different than the rest of us. They actually do have a duty to report. It doesn't seem to me that that particular teacher who was online knew anything more than this girl had met a person on social media. It falls on the parents at that point to really find out what their kids are doing. And if they don't come home for the night, get after it, do something about it. But it's certainly not up to the teacher to do that. Pascal, jump into that, by the way. The ages. I know I just read the whole timeline, but it's so overwhelming to even me. Remind us about when they first first met and what the ages we're talking about here are.
Well, what we understand is they apparently were talking around the time that David was actually 17 or 18 and Celeste was around 12 years old. There is speculation that maybe they started sending flirtatious text messages or DMs as for her as young as 11 years old. But that's still speculation right now.
Well, 11 would be just unbearable. 12 isn't any better, and 13 is awful as well. But I do think about that little moment in the chat room, Celeste in here, and that was so early in the fall that it seemed when she answered Bark that there was a familiarity there, that they may have known each other before. And she, of course, her birthday's, September 7th, so she would have been 11 just a few weeks prior to that. Shagun, missing multiple times, and it's possible that the police brought her back. That's what the teacher says. We're not sure if that's what happened, but when she went missing in February the first time, only to be brought back, then to go missing again in April, that it might have been the police who brought her back the first time, which, if that's true, I don't know if you agree with me, it would be insanity that this girl was missing for a year and a half in the very place that she was likely brought back from prior.
Yeah, Ashley, this is the thing that kind of boggles my mind. And again, I don't want to be the hardcore, cold journalist that puts a microphone in the faces of the parents. But if your girl, if anyone understands that Lake Elsinore is 78 miles away from Hollywood, how at that age is she getting back and forth to go see this guy, David? Because the Ubers are going to be in the hundreds of dollars. So where was the money coming from? How was she getting back and forth? And if she disappeared and came back, how are you as parents not sending her away to live with relatives? How are you not keeping a closer eye on her? How are you not asking the questions? Who's your boyfriend, David? Where did you go? What happened? Let's get to the bottom of this.
All right, so obviously there's a lot that's going on with this David case. One of the things that wasn't mentioned in this clip is the fact of all the things that he did in his music videos. So he has a song named Celeste. He had a music video. He had blood-stained shirts that he would sell, merch that he would sell. There were videos of chopped up meat that he would like and also repost on TikTok. There was a lot of odd behavior that he would do on TikTok. There was a lot of odd behavior in his imagery when it came to his music, when it came to his music videos, that really kind of talked about chopped up bodies. And there was a video of him putting a body in the trunk of a car in a music video, things that have actually played out in real life that were in music videos. And I think that we can all say that, we've seen some really odd behavior at times, throughout the years, right? Now, this isn't anything new from artists whenever they have a music video. So I don't think that anyone thought it was strange in the beginning, but then when the real thing happened, when you start to see all of the similarities to what happened in real life to the music that he has created and the videos and the art that he's created, this is where a lot of people have started to look at the circumstantial evidence and started to ask, why isn't David arrested? So as we speak, at the time of this recording, David is still free, right? So he's technically cooperating with police officers. He's had his home searched. They haven't said necessarily what they were searching for, but he had his home searched, and from what I understand, they gathered 12 pieces of evidence from his home. And so one of the things that I've taken away from this and other cases that I've covered, that I've watched, and those sorts of things, is that when someone hasn't been considered a suspect or someone hasn't been arrested immediately, when there's this much circumstantial evidence, a lot of times the police and the investigators know who it is. They know exactly that they might feel like this is that David's the guy or David's the suspect. But for them to really actually build a case, we have to remember that a lot of times once it's gotten to this level, prosecutors get involved too. And so when a prosecutor gets involved, I remember a case, it was the Menendez brothers that I did a video on. And when they were doing the investigation, the prosecutor got involved in the investigation. And one of the things that they're doing is as they're kind of coordinating with the investigators and building a case all at the same time. So ultimately, a lot of times they feel like they've got their guy, right? It's almost like there's too much circumstantial evidence. But the general public, they're kind of pissed, right? The reason why they're pissed is because we have this 20-something-year-old man that's been messing around with this underage minor since this young lady has been, in some cases, 11 years old, all the way up till she's 15 and now no longer with us. And so you have a lot of people who are upset at the fact that he's still technically free, right? And are asking, like, if all of these people, if there's been all these witnesses that are out there that have seen the behavior just with the dating a minor alone, why isn't he arrested for that? And you've seen stuff like that, right? So a lot of people who follow true crime or follow other cases, you'll see where police will arrest someone on one crime, right, while they build the case on the other. And I believe this is just pure speculation on my end, but I believe that they want him to continue to cooperate. I think that there's a lot of evidence that he's kind of backed up against a wall with. And sometimes, so one of the things that people were kind of wondering is David going to show up to like these vigils? And is he, so a lot of times the reason why investigators allow for people that they don't kind of deem as a suspect. So David isn't considered a suspect technically, but he's obviously a suspect. But they kind of want to see what he does with his freedom, right? It's almost like it's like an investigator's way of breadcrumbing, of letting this person free, right, and seeing what they do to try. Are they going to backtrack to some of the crime scenes? Are they going to show up to a vigil? Are they going to, you saw this with the Diddy case where even though Diddy was actually in prison, but while he was in prison, he was constantly calling the victims, constantly calling other people to contact victims. And he was constantly doing everything to try to maneuver and and you'll see things like that, right? Where someone who is, once they feel like they have their backs against the wall, all of a sudden will start to backtrack to certain things in certain areas to try to clean up a mess. So I believe that this is a situation where this is happening, right? They're kind of collecting their evidence. They're collecting witnesses. They're building their case. They're kind of keeping an eye on David to see what he does with his freedom, because it is very common for someone who has committed a crime to kind of backtrack and do those things, and seeing exactly what happened to try to create a scenario where this is just a no-brainer case. And in hopes, one of the things that prosecutors are doing in situations like this is to try to create a scenario where this doesn't even have to go to trial, where we can just get a plea deal. So then it makes it easier for everyone, right? The family gets justice. We don't have to go to trial, and we're able to put bad people behind closed doors in a quicker amount of time. So those are my speculations, but what do you think? Give me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think that he should just be behind bars right now as we speak, as they're building up the case and as they're doing the investigation? Or do you think that this strategy of kind of letting this person free and seeing what they do with the freedom and kind of following and tracking and seeing what they do online and seeing who they contact with their freedom and seeing what they actually do with it is the right approach? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. All right, we are moving on to Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, and that whole scenario. So over the weekend, at least at the time of this recording, Charlie Kirk's memorial was this past weekend. And we have a lot, even though Charlie Kirk is unfortunately been laid to rest, there's a lot of conspiracy that is coming up. And I typically don't talk about conspiracy theories for a reason, because they're conspiracy. However, there's a lot of reason. Obviously, this is fresh, and also I want to have dialogue about this because there's a lot of credible people and credible situations that kind of gives you reasons to pause with this scenario. So, like I said, it's not typical of me to talk about or cover it, but I think that it's worth its weight because this situation has not necessarily been handled with the most care in this situation. And there's been a lot of things where it's kind of paused. If you watched my last video about this, one of the questions I had was that this doesn't sound like a 22-year-old's texts, right? And this was something that was echoed with a lot of different people, right? Not just myself, but other podcasters and other news sources and other people who have read those texts and said that this doesn't sound like a 22-year-old texts. And a lot of people are kind of questioning whether or not this is really truly an isolated, a lone wolf situation, or are there more people involved? And there's a lot of reason to believe that there are more people involved. So let's watch this next video, and I will give you my thoughts after.
Now, as far as we know, the prosecutor and the FBI consider the roommate, who we've not named, a cooperating witness. But in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder, several conspiracy theories have made the rounds on social media, some suggesting men on the ground were giving hand signals to the shooter. The man in the white that you just saw is Dr. Frank Turek, a mentor to Charlie Kirk, who actually spoke at his funeral service.
I start FaceTiming my wife. I'm saying, look at this. This is incredible. Then I start FaceTiming my son and my daughter-in-law while Charlie sits down and begins to ask questions. Now, this is where you may have seen an internet conspiracy. The man in the white hat was giving signals to the shooter. Yeah, the man in the white hat was me, okay? I did this with my hat. Maybe I touched my nose or something while I'm holding my phone because I'm FaceTiming my son and daughter-in-law.
Now, Turek went on to say that the man in black that you saw was Charlie Kirk's main security guy. There has also been speculation that a private jet that left an airport after Kirk was shot was somehow involved in his murder. A man named Derek Maxfield was on that flight, and he posted on Instagram that it was his company's plane. Maxfield wrote, "Any suggestion that the flights by N88KG yesterday are in any way connected to the tragic shooting of Mr. Kirk is inaccurate, false, and without any credible basis of any kind." So yesterday, as Charlie Kirk's friends, family, supporters, and even the president and vice president of the United States were memorializing Charlie Kirk, FBI Director Kash Patel posted on X that every possibility is being investigated. Take a look. Patel wrote, "As the director of the FBI, I am committed to ensuring the investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination is thorough and exhaustive, pursuing every lead to its conclusion. The full weight of America's law enforcement agencies are actively following the evidence that has emerged, but our efforts extend beyond initial findings. We are examining every facet of the assassination. We are meticulously investigating theories and questions, including the location from where the shot was taken, the possibility of accomplices, the text message confession that I just read to you, and related conversations, Discord chats, the angle of the shot and bullet impact, how the weapon was transported, hand gestures observed as potential signals near Charlie at the time of his assassination, and visitors to the alleged shooter's residence in the hours and days leading up to September 10th, 2025. Some details are known today, while others are still being pursued to ensure every possibility is considered. Our primary focus is to complete this investigation and deliver justice. To protect the integrity of the investigation and subsequent prosecution, we cannot release every piece of information we have to the public right now. We will ensure every question is addressed at the appropriate moment. Regarding specific details, such as questions about the plane that allegedly turned off its transponder after departing from an airport near the assassination site, we can share updates when answers are confirmed. After interviews with the pilot and consultation with the FAA, we determined the transponder was not turned off. Incomplete flight data in rural areas caused the apparent gap. The entire FBI mourns the loss of Charlie Kirk. We will not rest until justice is served, and our investigation into this assassination will continue until every question is answered.
All right, so there's obviously a lot going on here, and there's one more video that I want you to watch. It's just a short video. I want to give you a quick rundown, quick breakdown. If you guys have not been following Candace Owens, I know that she's very controversial and a lot of people don't like her. However, she's been doing a lot of investigating into this as well. And one of the things that she found was, and one of the things that she got tipped off to was Tyler being at a Dairy Queen not long after the shooting. When you look at his body language photo that was received and things like that, it's kind of suspicious as to what's going on. So check out this next video.
And this is what happened. Something made its way around the entire town and into my tips line repeatedly. It is a very clear image of Tyler Robinson, allegedly taken, I'll say allegedly for safety here, but it's looking right according to my timeline, allegedly taken at 6:38 p.m. at a nearby Dairy Queen. Here is that photo that we can show you. Just take a look at this photo. What is wrong with this picture? A lot is wrong with this picture. First and foremost, 6:38 p.m., you just shot someone. You have gone through great pains to hide your face, to change your outfit. But wait, you didn't fully change your outfit, did you? I'm looking at this photo, and you're wearing jeans, and you're wearing the maroon shirt. Now we have a 50-50 combo of the outfits, and now you're showing your eyes, and you're not fearful at all that you might be recognized. Also, wow, you must have quite the stomach. You don't have a record. Next thing you know, you shoot someone and you're like, I'm just going to go have a meal. You don't seem to be too shaken or too upset. Something problematic is the location, by the way. We mapped this out. It's about 15 minutes away from the campus at a time when we're told that he's idling by, babysitting the rifle. So you can see, we're showing you, it's about a 17-minute drive away from the campus. So there should be a lot of footage then of this Dodge Challenger driving back and forth. Okay. And like I said, the biggest thing that jumps at me is he looks kind of content there. So he's got to be a full-blown psychopath, wearing half of what the feds told us he was wearing in the morning and half of what the feds told us that he was wearing during the shooting. Okay. So why did he text in this exchange at all and say that he changed outfits? When you just said, I changed my t-shirt, if that's the reality, you just changed your t-shirt and that was enough? Was it just a t-shirt that he changed? The outfit, again, as I sensed yesterday, has always been problematic. I feel the outfit was the Fed mistake. It never made any sense to say that he wore an outfit onto campus, light khaki shorts and a maroon shirt, and then decided to completely change hours later. Because why wouldn't you just change the t-shirt? That actually makes more sense. Every kid wears blue jeans. You don't have to change blue jeans or change out of khaki shorts to avoid detection. That's not going to go, hey, we're stopping you because you're wearing blue jeans. That's not a thing. It would make much more sense if he had just changed his t-shirt.
So initially when all this happened, I honestly thought it was a very difficult feat to pull off as an isolated person, as a lone wolf. My thoughts are that this is much bigger than a lot of what people may have initially thought and what a lot of people may have initially even spoke about. I think this goes a lot deeper, right? Do I think that all these conspiracies are legit? No, but I wouldn't be surprised if we find out later on, whether it be in a couple of months or in a couple of years, that someone goes down a wormhole and they start to find some other things. One of the things that I heard here recently, I don't have a video for this, maybe I'll talk about this in another long form video, but that there is actually tunnels underneath where, so I'm going to, before I say this, if you go back, if you rewind, you don't necessarily have to rewind, or if you go down to the chapters down below, you go back to what Kash Patel was talking about when they said they were investigating the angle of the shooter. One of the things that they were investigating, one of the things that they were looking at is could it have come from down below rather than from up top like people originally thought. That maybe there was a shooter that was down below, and what they discovered is that there's actually tunnels, right? I don't have this confirmed, so for those of you who might be more familiar with the UVA campus, if you comment down below, I could be completely wrong, but this is what one of the things that Candace is saying. I'll show you guys in another video, that there's tunnels down below in that area. And here recently, it was just covered with asphalt. And so one of the things that they're looking at, if they start to discover that the shot was taken from down below, then I think they're going to have a lot of unanswered questions on their hand, right? Then what was Tyler doing on top of the roof? Was there more than one shooter, and the person who just had the better angle took the shot? There's going to be a lot. Some of the other conspiracy theories. The older gentleman, I forgot the gentleman's name, but one of the things. So you might remember when everything happened the day of the shooting, there were two people that were taken into custody. So one was an older man who proclaimed that he was the shooter. And then there was another person, and so I have a YouTube short. I'll link the YouTube short where I was talking about the older gentleman down below. So he was taken into custody and he was questioned, and he said that he was a shooter, and then later on said that he only did that as a distraction to allow for the real shooter to be able to get away. So was this something that just some quote-unquote crazy old man was doing, or was this something as a much larger conspiracy theory? I forgot the gentleman's name, but one of the things that people said is that he commonly shows up to events and is just someone who distracts and disrupts things. There was another person that was taken into custody, and a part of the conspiracy is if you go back to Tyler's texts. You can go back to a previous video, or if you just review the texts that he sent. One of the things that he said was he acknowledged those two people when he was talking to his transgender lover, that there were two people taken into custody. And so some people are like, well, how would he know this if he was busy on the run, right? You're likely not going to be on the run, going through Twitter feeds, trying to figure out what's being said and those sorts of things, and staying up to date on current news. So there's a lot of questions that are being asked now that the dust is starting to settle, and I think that people are right for asking them. And part of the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because I know people are saying that these are conspiracy theories, but I wouldn't necessarily categorize this as conspiracy theories. I think that a lot of these are actually legit questions. I think it would be a conspiracy theory if the case was closed and everyone was saying that this is exactly what happened, and then people started coming up with different theories of possibilities, even though the case was closed, right? This is an active investigation that is continuing. So I think that there's a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet, and I think it's right for the general public, for you, for me, for anyone for that matter, to think of all of the possibilities that could have come into play. I think that, but my own personal belief, I think it's very unlikely that he was a lone wolf in this situation. I think it's far more likely that there was other people involved. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that this was a lone wolf situation? What are some things that you think that could have happened or might have happened that maybe people aren't talking about? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. All right, we're talking about a topic that has gone absolutely viral over on TikTok. We're talking about the rapture. So apparently we have people over on TikTok that seriously believe, and I'm going to talk about how serious this is, that seriously believe that the rapture is happening sometime this week. Most people speculated that it was happening the day of this recording. So if you're watching this recording, then either I got left behind or the rapture hasn't happened. And if you're not sure what the rapture is one of two phases of a belief held by some Christians that Jesus Christ will return to earth a second time. I'm not going to get into phase 2, but in the first phase, the rapture is said that Christ will come for believers, both living and dead. It's speculated that Christians will rise into the air to meet Christ, a phenomenon which will go unnoticed by non-believers. Those who are, quote, left behind will realize people have gone missing and will be subjected to 7 years of tribulation. So watch this next video and I will be back to tell you why this has gone viral, why people think that the rapture is happening this week, and I'll give you my thoughts and my breakdown.
Okay, I'm literally about to crash out. So I am super persuadable, and I've been on Rapture Talk for like the past, I don't know, hour. I have a couple things. First of all, are we not scared? Come on. To think that if the rapture is happening, if the rapture is going to happen in a few days, but they say it's going to happen, that means I only have a few days left with my kids. Even if the rapture isn't going to happen, can you imagine? Like, what if you really did only have a few days left with your kids? Oh my gosh, I'm literally crashing out right now. What the fuck, dude?
So as you can see, people are losing their absolute minds over this. This was just one of many videos. There was one situation where a woman surrendered her kids to CPS in anticipation of the rapture. People left their jobs, people sold their cars, people got rid of their houses, all in anticipation of the rapture. So let's talk about the reasons why people thought this. It all started with a South African pastor named Joshua Malekile. He shared a prophecy on YouTube saying, quote, "The rapture is upon us, whether you're ready or not." And he said that Jesus came to him in a dream and told him, quote, "I will come and take my church," end quote. He went on to say there's a storm brewing right now and it's dark. No human being on earth is ready for what's coming. I'm 1,000,000,000% sure I began to hear literally in my ear the sound of the trumpet, end quote. Now this is all coming at a time where this is also during the time of the Feast of Trumpets, or Rosh Hashanah. So now because of this, people are all putting the puzzle pieces together thinking that this is the week that the rapture is going to happen. But if you are a believer, or if you know scripture, you know that the Bible says that you won't know the time or the season. This has brought up a lot of conversations about religious psychosis. But I'm over here just like, what are y'all thinking? You let a person from the internet convince you to the point where you're surrendering your kids, surrendering your house, your car, your job, because you thought that the rapture was happening this week? Some guy off the internet from a continent, from completely another continent that you've never met in person? I think it's time for a lot of us to just log off the internet for a little bit, go touch some grass, go travel for a little bit, and actually talk to some real people in real life, actually talk to like an actual person, right? And talk to people in real life. And I think that a lot of people are getting a little bit too caught up in what they see on the other side of a screen. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. With that being said, thank you very much for tuning in. That's all I have for you today. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe so you can be notified each and every time I upload a new video. I upload new videos on this channel multiple days per week. I'm still trying to figure out what my schedule is going to be like. I'm leaning more towards more like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday type of schedule, but I'll update you guys as I go along. Also, if you want to get caught up on some other videos I've done, make sure you go down into the playlist down in the description box down below. With that being said, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. You guys have a good one.